Christian Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The End is the Beginning, Revelation, Hope, and the Love That Lit the Stars by Matthew Ian Fleming. Narrated by Mike Lenz. Introduction. I woke up early on the West Coast to our phone ringing. It was my grandfather. Curly coifs of white hair, hedged either side of a bald head, sunburned from working in the churchyard, where he served as custodian. He would pay me 50 cents. Don't I feel old now? For every toilet I cleaned at the church. Then take me to McDonald's for plain cheeseburgers and French fries. Ketchup being far too spicy for a man born and raised on a pork farm in Kansas. The Pentagon was bombed. They're saying terrorists. If you lived through this particular world-wrenching event, you of course know exactly where you were, exactly who was around, perhaps what you were eating or wearing. Memories seared into our brains, binding neurons together in unpredictable and formative ways that we recall with a snap. Some true, some not, some in between. The man I called Papa, my grandfather, was a pillar in our church community. Before he retired as a lineman for Pacific Gas and Electric, he was on the board of elders. The men, yep, all men, who led the spiritual life of the church along with the pastor. He went to Promise Keepers rallies, listened to Christian radio. I can still hear the jingle between songs. Positive, encouraging, more music, K-Love. And later, the angrier Rush Limbaugh and Fox News. An often tender and warm man to me and my cousin, he was also the first one to share with me a book called Left Behind. I read through some of it, but I was far too busy with video games and riding my bike to slow down with a book about Jesus coming back. Oddly enough, I can't remember a pastor preaching sermons about end times. I can remember plenty of hell and brimstone and anger with fists on the pulpit, but I don't recall words from Revelation or specific moments when a youth leader taught us about the rapture. Rather, it was in the air we breathed, in the culture we consumed. The Left Behind books were all on the bottom shelf of that small church library that I helped clean. The topic came up around the card table with my grandparents' friends from church. They were stories told late at night on a youth retreat. They were questions puzzled over at summer camp. And they were fiery altar calls in sweaty tents of Christian music festivals. Such and such preacher says that these are signs of the end times. When the rapture comes, we'll all be whisked away. Do you know what will happen to all those who are left behind? Make sure you're not one of them. These questions and more were swirling on that September morning in 2001. Are these the end times? Is Jesus coming back? Did the rapture just happen? Am I left behind? Am I going to hell? I remember my youth director, theologically trained with a great spirit of grace and hospitality, but who couldn't be called a pastor because indeed she is a woman, offered to open the church for prayer and conversation to some of us precocious high school students. Of course I went, sat on the cushioned chairs, sang the praise songs of the day, and listened for a word of comfort. I longed for an anchor of certainty, a promise that everything would be all right, a blessed assurance that God held me close. But it didn't come. I remember staying late, sulking up to the front of our small church building and asking sheepishly, "Do you think this is the end of the world?" It wasn't the first time I'd wondered about it. Because I was taught that the Scriptures helped us interpret the world around us, there must have been an explanation from the Bible for the awful things I was seeing on the news. My youth director was patient with my questions, but kept tying neat bows around them, bows that seemed to unravel immediately. Trust in the Lord's plan. This event had broken through any semblance of my understanding that God had a plan for the world in front of me. There are events that shatter our expectations, that break through the realm of possibility, and force us to reckon with what my 12th grade English teacher called
sample complete. Ready to continue?